Hi guys, and welcome to my new YouTube channel. My name is Abdul GM, and in today's video we're going to be looking at lockdowns and the science and evidence behind them to see if they actually work. The first thing we'll look at is how the virus spreads. Then we'll look at the chain of infection. Thirdly, why lockdowns seem like a good idea. Then herd immunity, and then at the end I'm going to give you some conclusions. So let's get straight into it. How does the virus actually spread? COVID-19 spreads via 4 different routes: aerosols, direct contact, droplet transmission, or from a reservoir. So take a look at this. This is the chain of infection, and this maps out how a contagious virus or microbial infection actually spreads. You can see here the 6 steps of how it works. Every contagious disease infection goes through these 6 links in the chain. I'll just leave this up here for you guys to have a look at. What's really important is if you break the chain of infection at any link in the chain, you stop the infection spreading. And this is what we were taught at dental school, and it's the exact reason why doctors, nurses, dentists wear gloves, masks, eye protection, and regularly clean the clinics. What we're trying to do is break the infection from being able to spread through the chain of infection from one person to another. Why did lockdowns therefore seem like a good idea? Well, the lockdown was designed to separate people and therefore break the chain of infection at this point, the mode of transmission from one person to the next. It also breaks it at several different points, but the main thing was to separate people. If you keep people apart, the virus simply cannot spread as easily. If you keep people away from areas where there is a large outbreak, the virus cannot spread into other areas throughout the country. By stopping the virus being able to move from one person to the next or one area to another area in the country, we could greatly slow down the virus. It's important to notice here that we'll never really be able to stop it completely, but we can greatly slow the virus down. And this is really important because although we can't stop the virus completely, by greatly slowing the virus down, we buy ourselves time. And buying time means we save potentially hundreds of thousands of lives. It means that we reduce the burden on the NHS, the healthcare systems, on the nurses and the hospitals. And thirdly, also it allows us to have the time to work on developing a vaccine. Let's talk about herd immunity. How does it work? Well, if enough of the population catch the virus and then develop active acquired immunity to the virus, the process of spreading, as described earlier, can't happen because too many people in the population are now immune, and the virus can't jump from one person to the next. The exact proportion of the population which needs to be immune for COVID-19 specifically is roughly 75%. There is some disagreement in the literature. Now, I live in the UK, so let's take that as an example. If we allow 75% of the population to get the virus, and considering there's a 3% mortality rate, we would effectively allow around 1.5 million people to die. And we would just have to accept that this is the cost of achieving herd immunity. And a lot of countries did take this approach. So for example, Sweden, Iceland, Belarus, Japan, Taiwan, Korea, and the USA. Now obviously this presents a huge ethical dilemma. The ethical complications of achieving herd immunity naturally are quite severe. 1.5 million people just in the UK. Another way of achieving herd immunity is by injecting the body with a biological or synthetic preparation from the infectious agent itself to induce active acquired immunity, or in other words, a vaccine. This is the best way to immunize the population and achieve herd immunity with the least amount of casualties, fatalities, and deaths. The trade-off here is that vaccines are not quick to develop, and they take a lot of people doing a lot of laboratory stuff I mean, this vaccine alone took about 12 months to develop, and it will probably take another further 6 to 8 months to get everyone around the world sufficiently vaccinated. Remember, we only need about 75% of the population to achieve herd immunity because it can't spread as described earlier. Okay guys, so we'll just have a look at some conclusions and a quick summary. I've even put my glasses on as well so I look more intelligent. The point of the lockdown was never to stop the virus completely. It's almost impossible to completely stop a virus which is airborne and spreads through contact with other human beings. So in places like London, where there's a lot of people in a small area, in airports, all over transport, it's basically impossible. You're never going to stop the virus spreading completely. What you can do is slow the virus down greatly and thus buying yourself time. Time is very important because vaccines take about 12 months to develop and test, and then a further 6 to 8 months to actually roll out. And with all of this in hindsight, and with all this knowledge, and considering the ethical complications of allowing 1.5 million people to die, considering the economic complications, and knowing everything that we do know now, I think that the best solution would be just to have a 12-month hard lockdown, stop the virus spreading as quickly as it did, slow it down as much as possible until we've got a vaccine ready, and then roll the vaccine out. I know it sounds tough having a 12-month lockdown, but it's basically what we did in the UK anyway, except we kind of opened up here and there, and then one minute we were in a lockdown and the police were sending drones around to call people out for taking their dog for a walk, and the next minute the government was paying us to go and eat out. So it didn't really make any sense here in the UK. The next video is going to be about vaccines and whether vaccines actually work, and a few misconceptions about vaccines. So please do subscribe, stay in touch for that one.